To Waze Community Office Hours. Today we are so excited to be joined by the Darth Wazer himself. He's currently somewhere at his secret lair up in the North Sea, and we're very happy that Gil could join us today to go through your questions. We're going to be covering a whole mess of questions from junction boxes, far lanes, paths, KoiFish, and mapping best practices, and we've split them up based on topic. And basically, Gil is just going to run through them. And if we have follow-up questions and we'd like you to join the call, or if you have any other questions, you can submit them through the Q&A function below, or you can always raise your hand and we can bring you up as well. I do apologize that the chat's not working. We're still trying to figure that out, but I am not sure we're going to be able to get it. So that is enough from me. I don't have any announcements for you all either because, quite frankly, everyone at Waze is on vacation this month. It's August, so it's just me and Danit here today by ourselves. So with that being said, Gil, why don't you take it away and we'll start diving into the Q&A, and if anyone has questions, we'll bring them up.
Thanks, Brett, and hi everyone. I wish I could see you, but yeah, I'll have to imagine faces when I speak. We do see the pop-ups, so when you ask questions, we'll see them, and also Brett and Danit will probably comb through the messages, and we'll get to see that. It's not the best, I know, but that's what we have right now. So let's jump in. Basically, we just took all the questions that you guys sent, and we tried to combine them and talk about them a little bit. I'm not going to read through all of them because some of them. Yes, there is. Well, you'll see. But far lanes and roundabout. So the first group we created was the 50 meters magic for far lanes. As you know, if the distance between the entry segment to the turning segment is less than 50 meters, we put the turning instruction with the lane guidance on the turn itself. If it's more than 50 meters, we place it on the entry segment. So now we have a few examples here that guy sent. I think John sent the first one. Give me 1 second. I'll try to share. Brett, that's new. I cannot change my shared tab for some reason.
Oh.
Yeah. Ooh. That's very annoying, actually. Give me a second. I'll try. Yeah, I'll do it here. Yeah. Okay, so I know why. I'll have to do it manually, so give me a second. Sorry about that.
I just want to update everyone. We're moving everyone to be contributors so that you will be able to open your cameras and participate in chat. But that means please be on the honor system and don't interrupt Gil unless you're called on. So feel free to open your cameras so Gil can see you and wave hi back. But we're putting everybody up into the contributor tab now.
Thank you, Brett. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So back to the second. I need to switch this. So what is the status of allowing us to choose whether to push or pull, right? That was the first question that was asked by John. We actually have, I'm going to jump to these mocks. We are adding the ability to push and pull the instructions. It's something that is already in early, I wouldn't say development, but we finished all the specs for it and all the designs for it. And we hope to start this within a couple of, I would say a month, give or take, maybe a couple of months, depending on the holidays in Israel. But what you can see here, 1 second, Marcel, is the ability. First of all, we compacted the menu here, so you can, if you see, you can have the audio option as well for the continuous rate. Instead of this being a pull-down menu, it's on the right, so everything is nicely compacted now. And we added the push and pull for the far lanes, and it looks kind of like this. So you can choose, Waze default, or view in here or view only, and it's with voice or without voice. So you'll see this or this here This will be without voice, with voice, and then you can push and pull and basically control the instructions. So going back to this is basically the the solution we're adding. I also have there's one more thing. So someone had a question. I think Marcel. Someone had a question about this.
No, his question was about time-based speed limits.
Okay, so please keep all the questions about other topics for a later stage, because we might cover them during the question that you already asked. Okay, if it's okay with you guys. Just 1 second. This is very weird. Yeah. So John sent an example as well, and I'm going to show it now. Once I'll be able to share. Oof. Yeah, there it is. Okay. This is the 1 second. Yeah. So basically, this was given as the example for the push and pull. So when you have lane guidance configured here, there's no far lanes right now, but so you have the left that goes here, you have those straights. Honestly, for this kind of junction, I'm not sure that I would use the push functionality at all. I mean, if I am continuing straight or turning right, I'm not sure that I want to see this lane at any point. I would like to see this when I'm here. I already passed this point. But you guys know the area better than I do. So if you feel strongly about the way you should do it, then do it another way. I would do it like this. So I would do a far lane here. I would do a far lane here from basically, sorry, you cannot do a far lane because there's a junction box here. Yes, that's the next slide about this. So you would have to do, once we'll have far lanes and junction boxes living together, we wouldn't need to create this junction box. But you have all these turns now. So this would be the straight, this would be the right, and this would be the left. And in this case, we want to use these two left. I think this is the straight and the right. I think. I'm not 100% sure about the configuration, but it should be something like this. And then this is something, we have this. Yeah, this would need to be a left. Otherwise, it will conflict with them. But what we can do now is once we apply this, we can do something new that I'm not sure if people know about it. And there was a question about it. You can actually set the override here, right? You can do the voice prompt to do like keep left instead of turn left. The keep left will be given here. So you'll get in 10 meters, keep left. And then once you'll cross this, you will get the next instruction. And now, those of you who know how junction boxes work will jump and say, but if you set an override, you cancel all the other instructions inside. You get only the instruction here, and that's it, right? Right? Everybody follow me? But that's new. If you put an override here, turn left for this one, then we have something new in the behavior. And that's actually really, really a new change that we've made in the last few weeks. And that means that you will get the override instruction for this entry segment, which will be keep left. The instruction will be here. Once you cross this point, you will get another instruction that looks like this with this lane guidance, and will have a turn left instruction. If you override both will exist. It's a change from the previous behavior that once you overridden the instruction here, it will just not work anymore. This is new and should work. I checked with Eagle. It should be in production already. Let us know if it doesn't work for you. I know that some people don't like it because, again, the behavior would be for the driver. You will tell the driver let's say this is the, so if the driver is here, they will get in 30 meters, use these lanes, the two center lanes, I'm not sure how it will actually say it, to turn left, right? And then once they cross that point, then they get the next instruction. It will use this street name. It's important because I also got some questions about this. It will use the street name here. So in this case, it will say keep left on frontage road, using these two lanes, and then the next one. So I hope that answers some of the questions, but in any case.
And wait, Gil, 1 second. Is that behavior in production or beta now?
Should be in production routing already.
Okay.
If not, I checked with Eagle. I didn't double check. I trust him. In Eagle, we trust, right? So that's with this. And again, you will still have the ability to push, but I don't think that pushing from here to here with this lane configuration is the right thing to do. But it depends on what you know about your drivers, about your country, about the way people drive. Okay, so I'm going to jump to the next question. 1 second. I have too many open windows right now because this doesn't work. So I'm going to share this. So the next question was, again, do we have Brandon here on the call? I think it's very late in Australia right now.
No, he's not joining us for this.
So I actually have a few examples for Brandon, but I want to do it with him. So maybe we can schedule something that is a bit more Australia friendly in time zone, and I can take it with him, and we'll just jump to the next examples. Sounds good?
Before you move on, there was just one question on the last one from chat that Giannis wasn't sure about what push-pull means. If you could just take a second to explain that.
Yes. Okay. So let's look on this example here. I'm going to undo everything. So when we have, actually, let me choose a different example. I'll actually use the example that was sent by Brandon, because I think it's a really good example. So give me 1 second. Actually, I'll use the next one. I like the next one better. Okay, so when a driver comes from here, right? Since the distance between this segment to the actual turn here is more than 50 meters, we don't look at this junction as a simple hash or H junction. We say it's a really big junction. It doesn't make sense for us to place this lane configuration for someone who's going to turn right here, because what they will see is essentially just this configuration. They already passed this a while ago. There's no point showing them the left turn. As far as they're concerned, all these turns are connected, but it's a different junction. So what we do, we place, it's not the perfect solution, to be honest. It did cause us some issues, but we've been working on it. So we place the instruction on this segment. So what you will get, for example, if you turn right from here to here, I'm sorry for showing you Australia right now. I just realized that I am in the UK, so for me it makes sense right now, this driving direction. But please reverse your minds for a second. You're driving down here and you want to turn right here. So what you'll see is that the instruction will be here. Normally the instruction would be continue straight using the right lane. The problem for most people is with the continue straight. That's a bit confusing because you're supposed to make a hard right. Continue straight is kind of counterintuitive. Even though we technically say it only here, and then here we will give you a turn right instruction, but here you get a continue straight. So what I recommended to do here is, again, to place a keep right instruction so the driver will get the instruction here. Long story short, when the instruction is pulled, it's pulled here. When the instruction is pushed, it's pushed here to this point. Right now, we do it with the 50 meters heuristic. If the distance is more than 50 meters, we pull it to this area. We place it here. If the distance is less than 50 meters, we place the instruction here on this point. If, for example, we would have done something like this, there's a junction box here, so I can't really create the path. But if, for example, we create a path from here to here, then it is short enough and the instruction will be pushed to this junction. Does that make sense for the person who asked it? I'm not sure who asked the question.
That was from Giannis.
Yanis, did I answer it or not really?
It made sense to me. So if I can understand.
We also have this in the document I shared. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Yanis. And if it doesn't make sense for any reason, we have it in the document I shared. And Brett, we should have it, I think, circulated, and it's also in the Wazepedia that was created. I think that it was cartographer who created it. I think I'm not 100% sure, but it's a very, very elaborated there as well. All right, moving. In this case, it doesn't make sense to tell the user use the right two lanes. Yes, it is. It is, but we don't have use instruction. That's the problem. There's no way for us to set use. We can only use continue or keep. These are the instructions we have in the client, and we try to work within the boundaries of the client. I did ask to add the use instruction as well. Once we'll have it, we can, instead of using keep right, we can just say use the right lane, which is, in my opinion, the best instruction. I agree. I hope this answers. I think someone asked for the link, Brett, so we should probably send it later on.
No problem.
Okay, so we answered the 50 meters, I hope. Next question. I'm jumping through these because we saw them. Fall lanes in junction box. Okay. Wait, when will use be in the app? Actually, I have a slide for this. This is the answer for when the use will be in the app, but not my soon, because it's not. I have zero control on this. But hopefully it will be added. I have a whole document explaining the why we need it, when we need it, and so on. We will add it. I don't think it will be this year, to be completely honest. I don't want to sell you stories. We are recorded. I'm not allowed to say bad words when we are recording, so I'll just say stories. There are questions before I move on to fall lanes and junction box? Okay, Brett, please let me know if anyone asks a question, because I miss them when they appear on the screen. All right. All these questions are basically asking about two major things that are all connected to each other. Right now, we cannot combine junction boxes and paths. It's a very annoying limitation. I feel a bit bad for saying no when we thought about adding the ability to have them both, because we were supposed to get rid of junction boxes. I didn't want to develop a new feature that we're not going to use. We didn't get rid of junction boxes yet. And that means that right now we have this weird situation where we cannot create junction boxes and paths together. We cannot use the nesting ability, for example, of paths on a junction box. And this kind of relates to all these questions. So for example, all these coexistence questions, again, we don't have it yet. This is fall lanes phase 3. It's not going to happen this year. I hope to do it this year, but not this year. We have other stuff that we're going to do, and we're going to announce some of it in the upcoming EMEA Mega, and you'll be very happy about what we decided to do instead, I think. And also deleting a junction box. So sometimes you want to make a simple topology change in the junction box. You want to remove a segment or do something simple, and you have to delete the entire junction box just to delete one path. Again, once we'll do fall lane phase 3, at that point, junction boxes and paths will be pretty much the same, and it will give you the option to add new paths to an existing junction box. So you will be able to add new entry segments or new exit segments, or to delete a whole path if you want. Until then, you don't have this option, I'm afraid. And within junction box, it's impossible to define fall lanes for internal turns. Actually, this is, again, I can show it in the. I can show it here. Give me a second. I have all these links that you see with the flash open, but since I cannot share this screen for some reason, I have to open them one by one and share them from a different screen. So I apologize about that. But this is the link that I was sent. I'll just remove some stuff, share this tab instead. Again, the example was given here. Let me remove places, add junction box. We do have a junction box here. So you can see that. And I assume, do we have the person who asked the question on the call? No. Okay. But anyway, I assume that the idea is to add a far lane to this exit, and but honestly, yeah. Leonardo?
You have to take yourself off mute, Leonardo. We can't hear you.
You're muted. Oh, okay. But I assume that you maybe want to add another path from here to here, right? For example, it's inside the junction box, so you can't add it. I know. It's still not supported, but honestly, yeah, it will happen, just not now. Apologies for that. Okay, lanes and roundabouts. So I have news, not necessarily good or bad. The bad news is that it's not going to be fixed until the end of the year. The good news is that I was promised a design before the end of the year. The limitation, for those of you who don't know, is in the client. We have this option available in WME. We have the ability to create paths on roundabouts, and we have the ability to create lane guidance in junction box and Jubras in WME. We actually wrote another piece of code to disable it with a feature flag, which is the worst thing that I can think about when you develop something, to then disable it only because you have to. This is waiting for a client fix, and it's a major overhaul to the entire lane visualization in the client. So I cannot push them more than I did. We already have design on my side for this, but a designer, an actual person that knows how to design, graphics and stuff, is working on this, and I was promised for this to be solved. For us to have a design ready for the end of the year. Wait, I had a question and then it was gone. Someone asked a question.
Yeah, that was in the Q&A.
Okay.
From Juan, is it better to use a JB for far lanes or paths? Are they basically the same?
Okay, so we have this question as well, but I'll answer it now because I think it's an important one and I want to make sure we cover it. If you need two things, either the ability to set turn restrictions, for example, to restrict a U-turn in a junction, or to restrict a turn in a junction, or if you want to collect the cross times, so to know a different time it took the drivers to turn left through a hash junction or continue straight, then use a junction box. That's the only entity we have that give us the option to collect cross times and also to provide turn restrictions. If you don't need any of these two, I would personally use only paths. It takes a second to create them. They allow us a lot more flexibility with splitting any point on the path or merging any point on the path. It's a much better tool, in my opinion, much more flexible. And that's it. So that's the answer. There's no better or worse. They just do things a bit differently. Okay, thank you. Next slide. I'll move on. So yeah, the soon is for this as well, but not my soon. When it's my soon, I'll say it's my soon. Okay. You cannot cut a segment with paths. Well, there's a bug on this, and there's a question on this. You can split a segment with path, and you can merge a segment with path. There's an issue for some reason that only level 6 can do it. There's an open bug on this, and it should be fixed. It's not. It's a problem. It's not a feature. Okay. Paths were created originally to be very, very flexible. That was the idea behind them. Yes, please, Andre.
Sorry, there was also an issue with level 6 only be able to split the segment in junction boxes. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Entry segments, exit segments, or internal segments?
Entry and exit segments.
So that's, I think it's the same bug. I'll double, Brett, can we please double check that both cases are covered with this bug? We have an open bug on this. Brett? Sorry?
Sorry?
I was asking Brett if we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
please follow up on this.
Yeah, no problem.
On the junction box.
There's an open bug on forum, WME beta forum, I think.
Yeah,
some
it should
time.
be allowed. Something broke, I guess, and it was
Yeah,
not.
I prompt, I don't know, don't remember now, someone to escalate the issue.
Okay.
I don't know.
This specific bug, I changed the priority of this bug a week ago to a higher priority just to make sure it is going to work.
Okay.
So I'm gonna yes, please.
If I can, just another question regarding also junction boxes before you move forward to KoiFish.
Okay.
There's also I don't know if you saw in the questions the question of mine regarding the ability to remove restrictions on a segment.
It's here. All the questions are on the deck. I didn't skip any question. I just arranged them based on grouping and
yeah, okay, no issue.
So we'll answer it.
Thank you.
So we have 3 different questions here. One is, do we have any news on the working closer with Geo? So the answer is yes. I cannot really share everything about it, not because it's a big secret, but because it's not final, and I don't like sharing things that are not final and then it's not working. But you already saw this with the imagery that we are providing, and I think it's also safe in this conversation to mention, some of you already know about the spreadsheet that we asked some people to update with requests for new imagery. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, some of it was already fulfilled, and the P-Neo there has fresh imagery. So I'll give you a bit more backstory because this is really cool. A few weeks ago, a few coordinators filled a spreadsheet asking for fresh imagery in certain areas, and within a couple of weeks, basically, some of these, I mean, not all of them, were refreshed. And when I say refreshed, I mean that we tasked a satellite that moved the camera in the satellite for us, for Waze, took a picture and sent it to us. So it's not just getting an image from somewhere. We actually tasked a real satellite that gave us new image in a very high resolution. And this happened within less than 3 weeks from the moment we asked for it. And we have a lot more planned in this area of imagery and Street View as well. So this is one of the things that's happening by working closer with Geo. We get really cool functionalities. I mean, I just think about the feature of you pressing it and you see a video of a satellite starting to shift. I'm now doing Yoav's imagery request. Actually, Yoav is the only one on the call who will not be able to get this because Israel is very restricted. But other countries, Yoav can ask it for another country. Anyway, that's for this. For the second one, about the KoiFish suggestions, but this is not aerial. Okay, it's important to mention this is for satellite imagery, not aerial. But the satellite imagery is in very high resolution. It's 30 centimeters per pixel, which is extremely high resolution for satellite. And you can see the lanes, markers, and everything. Yeah, low Earth orbit. Yeah, it's not it's GDO. I cannot take credit. I only connected the dots between GDO, the Geo Data Operations, and Waze. They do all the magic. So, okay, jumping to KoiFish suggestions. I have a question. Do we have Alex here on the call? No. Or yes, Alex, please. How often does it happen that you have misaligned suggestions like this?
I would say 60% of them.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. And question for the audience. Do you also have cases where you have suggestions that are correct, but just slightly offset and you would like to drag them to a new location? Yes. Okay. Okay. Many of them. Excellent. Thank you. That's a good feedback. So I hope you're following this up, Brett, and adding a note. I'll add a request to, but it's okay. It's enough that it's not very, if it's not very rare, then we would like to address this rather than just, we'll add a way to drag a segment. I'll need to, we'll find a way to fix it, but thank you for the feedback. I'll ask for it. Next questions, importing other data with KoiFish. Yes, there is. First of all, we continue to get bad imagery. Okay, thank you, Mika. It's a good point. So also existing segments, Brett, it would be nice to be able to pull them. It's a bit more complex with existing segments because they're connected and you might need to drag other segments along, but let's take this with the developers. Importing data for KoiFish. Yes, we are working on speed limits right now, and the idea is to import. So for Geo, they have a huge amount of speed limits. Not all of it is correct, but we have the levels of correctness for the speed limits, and the idea is to take the really, really good speed limits and either import them for segments we don't have any speed limits on, or just put them in KoiFish for arbitration. We're still working on that with the coordinators. The idea is that if the quality is good enough, we are going to just add them to the map instead of asking people to look on them one by one, because it's millions and millions of segments and nobody wants to do it. What we want to do is that when we have a disagreement between a speed limit on a Waze segment and a Google Maps segment, we want to know which one is correct, and that's a different conversation. But for the new ones, we want to just import the high quality ones that we don't have. Again, only high quality. It's not a lot. I mean, the vast majority is classified by Geo as medium and low, so these will not be imported automatically. Yes, someone raised a hand, please. Not sure who raised the hand, but if there's no question, I'm and also I'm not sure if you guys, oh, no problem. If you guys saw, but we are adding more and more segments all the time to KoiFish, not just the original imports. So it's nice to look at them as well. Please make sure that you select the correct type of segments. For example, if you don't want to map unpaved roads, make sure that unpaved is not selected. There's no point in you seeing suggestions for unpaved roads if you don't want to map them anyway. All right, AGCs. So I would like to talk about this because this is something that is kind of weird for me. At first I thought I was misunderstood, but since two people pretty much say the same thing, then maybe I did not explain myself good enough. So it's my problem, not your problem. I didn't reverse my stance on AGCs. For Falcon, the idea, okay, I'm going to share another screen. Give me a second. I'll just share this. Those of you who are old enough, remember that what I said is that Falcon takes the road width of this segment and this segment and creates something that looks like this, basically. I mean, I'm not connecting them, but you got the idea. It knows that there's a curve that goes like this, right? And it does this by, again, by the distance between the geometry node. So if you have the geometry node here, for example, or here, it will behave differently because it will try to take the radius from here all the way here. This is not a replacement for AGCs. I mean, it's working okay with AGCs. And we have actually an example that I would like to share for this. Yes. Give me a second. So for AGCs, for example, here, I would definitely add an AGC. I have a question, but first of all, cartographer is not on the call, right? Or is he on the call?
Cartographer noted that he didn't want to participate live, so
okay.
We'll just.
Okay, so in Florida, is it legal to turn right from here? Can I do this? Can I go from here to turn right, or can I only do it here?
Here, you would only be able to turn right from the turn lane. You can't go past the intersection and turn right there. It'd be illegal.
Okay, perfect. So you're supposed to be here when you make your turn, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So it doesn't make sense not to put an AGC here, because we are telling the user basically when the driver is here, we are telling the driver in 300 feet turn right, and they are supposed to already be on the right lane. Okay, sketch. Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to add, generally the solid white line you can cross, but once it splits out past the gore, it's too late, right? And so you don't have to be all the way back there when the only word is on the screen, but you still do have to be there a little bit earlier. So, I agree, add the AGC for sure.
I would say from basically where that red car is the end of where you can get into that lane to turn.
We
Yeah,
also
exactly.
have a bike lane. There's a bicycle lane here that you need to cross as well to turn right.
I would say it's more of a bicycle recommendation, but yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a Sharrow. That's
Okay.
a Sharrow.
In any case, I would definitely create, again, if you want to be, I mean, I would honestly, I would split this. Remember the law of the Corvette. Corvette cannot go over this barrier, so it needs to be two different segments ideally. It's okay to merge it here around that point, but I would use two one-way segments here, and then the AGC will also not be as bad because it will not go from here like this. It will go from something that is closer to this point, right, to the center. But yeah, please use an AGC here. AGCs are not a bad thing, and it's discretionary in most cases when to use them. But in this example that I was given, there's no question. I would definitely put an AGC here. I don't see a reason why we should not have an AGC here. Also, I think it's a different signal. I mean, this one has lights, I think, yeah, and this one is probably, you can always make this right turn here. So, yeah. And just to be clear, another thing I wanted to mention about AGCs, when Falcon was launched, we didn't have 4 lanes.
So just one second.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of chat about what is AGC. Can
Oh,
you talk
sorry.
about
Yes.
grade connection?
It's add grade connector, which means that you basically turn right from a different smaller road that we have here. Can anyone send a permalink to a really nice AGC I can show? But actually, you know what? I'm trying to find an example on one of my WMEs that is open right now, but I cannot. Oh yeah, I have one. Actually from Israel. Woohoo! 1 second. I think you have sent this one. It's from one of the next examples. But don't worry, we have better imagery in Israel now. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, I'm going to remove this. Yeah, and area manager. Okay, so an AGC is basically this, for example. So you can basically draw this without this segment. You can delete it if you want to. Don't worry, I will not save. And then you turn right here instead of through this segment. And it doesn't make sense in this case not to create an AGC. In some cases, like here, an AGC was not created. Honestly, I would like to see an AGC here, but it's not that painful, I guess. I would create one here. Again, there are local guidelines about the required distance from here to here. I think in Israel it's 30 meters. I don't like to listen to meters. I mean, in this case, if it's built like this, I would just create an AGC. And now comes the question, and someone mentioned that this creates an issue with 4 lanes. And that is correct. The only time you should not, I mean, you should deprioritize AGCs is if you cannot create proper guidance with junction boxes or with far lanes phase 2 with paths. Now when we have paths, there's no reason not to do it. And we actually have a good example of paths here. You can see that we have paths going all the way here, right? And you can create this path and another path here as well. So we have the option to provide good guidance even if we create AGCs in most circumstances. So again, it's not a black and white question.
Andre, is your question concerning AJCs or about a different topic?
Yes, AJCs, and also mentioning that in Portugal here, if you cross the white line, it's a penalty. So you can't cross the white line. So different mileage may vary.
Yeah.
The other question regarding AJCs, I was told, or something like that, that you should map to reality. So if you should map to reality, you should do the AJC. So I think it makes sense to include them, although we have the other issues that you mentioned already.
What do you mean to include? I'm not trying to understand the question.
No, it's not just not a question, just a statement that says, yeah, here in Portugal we do it. We create the AGCs because it makes sense due to the distance, and yes, it creates the issues that you mentioned about lanes, and that the far lanes phase 2 solves some of those, but still has some work to be done.
Okay, thanks. So yes, and I see also chatter about kissing. So keeping it, for those of you who are not familiar with KISS, keep it simple, stupid, or stupid simple, or whatever you want to. I mean, it means a bit. It's something else if you change the simple and stupid, but we all got the idea. In any case, we should map simply. I mean, we should simplify mapping when it makes sense, but when we start to lose fidelity and when we start giving almost okay instructions, then it's not that good. Simplicity, yeah, exactly what Sketch said. Don't oversimplify things. Wait, too many things I cannot follow.
That's okay.
I'm not going to. I cannot read the chat. I'm sorry. If you have specific questions, then just ask them.
Don't worry about it. I'll call out important things in the chat.
Okay,
Let's just get rolling because we only have 15 minutes left.
Oh wow, and we have tons of slides. Okay, I'm going to jump. Okay, feature requests for, yeah. So this is actually, I spoke with Talia on this. All these are for Talia, by the way. So I asked Talia about all these questions. If it's important, please add it in the user voice. And she's definitely working on merging the functionalities of of PURs, URs, and KoiFish. So please go. I mean, should I read the questions or can everyone read them? I see some people are driving, so maybe I should read them. I'll read them.
We'll skip through these and go back to practical examples.
Okay, I'll just skip. And thank you, Majid. I miss you too. Just wanted to say that. Skip this as well, Bert. What do you say? I think we answered this. We answered this. Splitting segments. Okay, I would like to address this one. For a long time, we were guided by Waze that we should avoid splitting segments for low importance reasons such as speed changes. Is it still valid or not? It's a good question. Normally, I would say don't split segments unless you have to, but it's not as bad as it used to be. So if you need to split a segment for something you think is important, like, I don't know, a place where the speed changes from like 90 kilometers an hour to 70 or to 50, and you think it makes sense to split it there, then split it and put the new speed limit. That's okay. Again, it's just don't. Who did that? Why? Jose did it. Thumbs down from Jose. So if you don't want to split, don't split. It's okay. Nobody's forcing anyone to split. Adam, please.
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay, but Andre says splitting will affect the routing. Yes and no. If you split a segment that can only continue to the next to the next segment, then the implication on the routing is very low. There is implication on the routing, but it's not as bad as adding another segment that splits. I mean, like, if you have a segment that splits into two, that affects the routing. If you have a segment that splits into just one, the effect is very, very low on the routing. If you start doubling the number of segments that Waze has, it will affect the routing. So don't do it too often. That's my point of view for that.
Also, Jose says in chat that he didn't mean to give a
Yeah,
thumbs.
it's fine. I managed to read it. So thank you. Sorry. All is good. Node-based voice prompts and junction boxes path, visual TTS, a voice prompt on any term within a path. Okay, we covered that. That is already working, guys. We can put overrides on nodes inside junction boxes, as long as as long as you have overrides everywhere, all the overrides play together. Okay, it's important to mention it. Remember that. If for some reason you don't understand what I'm saying, let me know, because this is really important. We made a very important change in the way that junction boxes and paths are behaving. And if you see it behaving differently, please let us know. That is a bug. Best practices with example. Okay. Will we ever be able to see shields or other visual information on an instruction that is view only rather than continue straight? The answer is maybe. It's a client decision, not mapping or routing decision. Please, if you guys really want this, please put something in the user voice, and I'll make sure to prioritize it with the correct squad. So that's for that. Okay, so let's do it then. Just make sure, I mean, your voice can only be heard through the user voice. I'm kidding, also through us, but ideally there, because then we can point to the user voice and say, look how many votes they have.
User voice. For all WME features, you should be submitting it in user voice. Beta discuss is only for the app.
So yeah. So now I'm gonna run real quickly on these examples. Do we have time, Brett, or not really?
Yeah, we've got a good solid 10 minutes. And
Okay, let's go over these examples.
We started a little late.
If we have segments with a restriction that is part of a junction box like this one, we want to remove the restriction. Okay, so this is actually, I saw it. 1 second, I need to find the. 1 second, sorry. Huh. Don't have it now for some reason.
Deck.
Sorry? No, it's a bit of an issue because I am I have it in a different window and I need to put it on the window that's presenting. But in any case, the question is that when you have a restriction and a junction box, you cannot remove the restriction. And the answer is it shouldn't be like that. I mean, understand that it is okay. Thank you, Andre. I'll try this one. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. So we have a restriction here. We cannot remove it until restriction, sorry. There's no delete option anywhere. It's all locked. If I am removing the junction box, and now I'm going here, yes, I can remove the restriction. This is not okay, and I'm going to ask for it to be fixed. It should not. There's no reason for it. If you remember, we had tons of other restrictions in junction boxes. You couldn't move the node inside the junction box, and you couldn't do a lot of stuff. I am not always aware of all the decisions that were made in the past, but it's really important for me to know about these. I will prioritize it to not happen anymore. Okay, there's no reason for that. We have a segment with, okay, so we covered that. Do you feel we should use file lanes for these?
Can we go back to the deck?
Oh, sorry, yes, apologies. Do you feel we should use file lanes for these? So we have 4 options here. We have 4 different cases. Oof, I have to, yeah, it's okay. Okay, I'll do it like this. Come on. It was all so nicely loaded. Okay, so first of all, the first thing I want to mention that even here, I would, again, I'm not sure if it's legal to turn from here, but if it's illegal to turn from here, we should definitely consider creating an AGC, you know, something like this. Let's look back on this. Wait, is that the example that was sent by the creator? 1 second, I want to double check it with spreadsheets. Because we have 4 examples here. Yes. Okay. Let's see. So we have 4 lanes from here going here. It's okay, but bear in mind that you're going to get continuous straight instruction here. I'm not sure. Do we have a creator here? Not really. Okay. It's okay to use it here.
Yeah. There are multiple super streets with slight configuration changes.
I honestly don't think it makes. It's okay to put it here. Bear in mind, it's going to yield a continuous straight message. I would therefore suggest to change it to keep right instead of this. So it will yield a keep right instruction here instead of a continuous straight using the right lane.
Can you guys
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you now.
Okay, stepping outside. So it was more of the if you're going north. So if you go from, let's see if I can see the road name. From
Here?
there to continue northbound to the other northern road. So essentially, it would be a situation where they would have to turn right,
Yeah.
make a U-turn, and then turn left. And I wasn't sure if there was a good way to make it so that it's a good user experience, so it's not super chatty. When you're traveling east-west, it's pretty simple, but it gets kind of a lot going on for somebody.
I
Going
don't
north-south.
think well, from here you have only 1 lane. There's no point in doing anything for this one. Here you only have 1 lane turning left. So again, there's nothing you can say here other than use the left lane. And that's it. And here you already turn right. So I don't see a reason to a super benefit. It's a lot of hassle for very little. Okay.
Okay.
So I will. Do we need to go through all examples, or are we covered with this specific one?
I think they're all basically the same. I think that there was just a couple different, like varying whether the number of lanes or just slight little different nuances between them. But I think you're good.
Okay, thank you. Let's jump to another example. Yoav, this is yours. In case the arrow in far lane's turn is changed from left to U-turn, and in the immediate junction, the instruction is keep left. The display is changed to a U-turn arrow. But what will be the vocal instruction when approaching the immediate junction? I suppose it will not be changed and will stay keep left with the destination as defined without the far lanes. Okay, so just to be sure I understood you, where do you see a U-turn here? Is that the U-turn to this to here?
Back after it's a big junction. There is a U-turn there.
Where is the U-turn in this junction?
Turning left and left.
Back to Road 6, to Highway 6?
Yeah.
Do you expect to make a U-turn here?
Suppose I expect to get a U-turn.
Oh, okay.
This is not the problem. Is not that the problem was whether the vocal instruction will stay the same as without changing the arrow. So does changing the arrow has any effect on the vocal instruction?
Good question. Lane guidance and turn instructions are decoupled. It was like that before far lanes and after far lanes. You can have a left, you can do something crazy like this, for example. You can go here, and let's assume that you can make a right, and you can go here and do this, and put U-turn. Well, it actually will not work
I
because
don't
it's
see
invalid, but
I don't see an arrow moving.
oh, I mean, I'm not showing the correct. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm working on the other window. First of all, let's turn on the OFIC layer because we want to see something. Move places. So you can do crazy stuff like going here, for example, enabling this, going to the lane guidance. You can do this, right? You can do something crazy like this, and then put here turn left. Okay. There are some safeguards in the routing server. It will try to actually, in some cases, fix that, but you might get, for someone turning right here, a U-turn sign with a turn left instruction. It's crazy, but you need to be a crazy editor to do something like that as well. Basically, the guidance here on the turns themselves is completely decoupled from the lane guidance itself. So if you want, for example, to do something like this, let's do what you suggested. Let's create a path here, and let's add a U-turn. Okay, so I added a U-turn. I don't think the routing server will think this is a U-turn, so you will not get a U-turn vocal instruction. But if you go here and change this to voice prompt U-turn, then if someone goes from here to here, they will use the left lane to make a U-turn. Extremely dangerous in this junction, but you can do it if you want to.
Yeah, but suppose it's less than 30 meters.
Yeah, I mean, if it was closer, that's fine. But if you do both, if you do the override as well, then that will work for you.
But if I don't,
If
the
you
vocal
don't,
instruction isn't changed.
the vocal instruction will be based on the heuristics of the routing, whether it's combining it to a U-turn or not, and then you are at the mercy of the gods of heuristics.
So the display and the vocal instruction could be different.
True, which is what, for example, we have with the continuous straight instruction with far lanes. So here, if I go here, even on this example, you have two left lanes, two left turns here. This will not say turn left here. It will say continue straight using the left two lanes with the left turn arrow. Because this is more than 50 meters. We are back to the 50 meters rule. I didn't measure, but I'm pretty sure it's more than 50 meters.
But it's not continuous straight there. It's keep left.
Did you put an override?
No, without an override, it's keep left.
Maybe because I don't.
Because both are ramps, and it's not this. So
That's
the name is not the same.
okay. I understand now, but I would still do something like this here, and just to force it as keep left. Because if someone changes the street name, you're pretty much effed.
Yeah, but you answered my question.
Okay, that's a good thing. If I answer the question today, I'm happy. I think we skipped quite a few, and I think we're out of time. But
we can do like one or two more.
I can spill over, guys. I blocked more than the hour. You know, I can talk forever. So we have a question about our paths and far lanes properly. Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah, go back to that.
Yeah, are paths and far lanes properly used here, as you guys envisioned them, both in the multi-lane exit and the turns? Is it overkill? If setting preferred lanes, it is a little unclear how far away the next turn should be to get a path. So now let's look on this example. I think it's a really cool example, but something I would actually not recommend to do. 1 second. 1 second, please, please, please. Okay. So what we have here is this. We have, for example, this entry segment, and you can see all the paths created here. Do you see them? And the specific lane that should be used. In my opinion, this is an overkill. Should you do it? If you want to, I will not stop you. But I don't think it is that critical for someone here to take this left lane or this left lane if they're going to turn right here. I mean, we're talking about, this turn is 360 meters away. If you drive 50 kilometers an hour, that's 13 meters per second. It's like half a minute to go from here to here. The only times you should use these kind of preferred lanes is if it's a fast-moving traffic and very, very complicated to change lanes. I don't think this is the case here. The aerial imagery shows 2 cars and a cow basically walking here. I don't think someone will have, well, maybe it was taken during weekend, I don't know, but I think that if someone is here on the left lane and they need to turn right here, or here, God forbid, which is half a kilometer away, they should have enough time to turn right. I think it just complicates the map for no good reason. It doesn't change anything for Waze. It doesn't cost us money to save this. It's just a waste of your valuable time. And in my opinion, it's an overkill. I do like it though. I mean, as someone who pushed for the feature, when I see these, I'm like, oh gosh, someone has pulled this to the max. But I just don't want you guys to spend time on this. I think it's an overkill. So yes, I would. Yeah, it's too much. It's nice for a nice demonstration of the feature, though. If there were more lanes here, if there were more than 2 lanes, let's say 5 different lanes, that's a different conversation. And that's why it's really hard for me to give just one answer for these kind of questions, because it's never the same situation. And it's really important for you guys to know that when I answer something, it's for a specific use case. It's not necessarily for all cases. And Sketch raised his hand, and I know why, because Sketch has a good example for an area with 6 lanes where it's important to use the correct lane in that configuration, and that makes sense. But please go ahead, Sketch.
Yeah, I would just say that like this is an edge case, maybe, right? Like we usually recommend around 30 to 45 seconds between turns when this kind of thing is worth it, and kind of per lane, right? So if there's 3 lanes, you might have to get over twice, whatever. So given that this is about 30 seconds, I mean, I would say it's probably worth doing. You don't necessarily have to do it. You don't have to focus on it, but I wouldn't like fuss somebody for adding this. We shouldn't be discouraging it.
Okay. Totally. I'm not saying that the person who did it, I didn't even check who did it. So I don't know. But I'm not saying that the person who did it made a huge mistake. I think it wasn't worth his time doing it. That's what I'm trying to say. And by the way, 300 meters is to this point. From here, it's more than half a kilometer. I mean, I don't need to be on the correct lane half a kilometer away in this kind of situation when you have only 2 lanes. I mean, I think it's just too much. So yes, if you want to do the first one, maybe, but after that, it's too much in my opinion. But by the way, from here going to make a U-turn here, definitely add a far lane. It's awesome. It's important. It's really great to be on the further left to go back to the same road. No question about it. I was talking about these guys over here. I think it's too much. It doesn't add that's true. It doesn't add an instruction. It simply highlights the specific lane you want the driver to take to make the safest turn. I'm just saying it just takes time to map these. So it's not poor. It's not poor experience. It will improve the driver experience at the cost of spending. Well, it will improve it slightly, very slightly, too slightly, I think, in the edge cases here. But yeah, there was a question about junction boxes. How do we do this? You can do it if you want. You can put a junction box. Actually, you can put a junction box all the way here and just do it with a junction box. But I wouldn't do it with a junction box because you're locking yourself for no good reason. If you don't need restrictions, if you don't need cross times, no reason for a junction box. Okay. I think we went through all the cases. Running through the questions quick.
Take us back to the deck so everyone can see.
Routing simulator. Yeah, I want to address that because this is I don't like only to give good news or to be nice. I also want to hit you guys with the truth when it hurts. It was deep, not in my squad anyway, but it was deprioritized for this year. I asked if it's going to be for the for next year, but I didn't get an answer because nobody knows what will be next year. Yeah, Juan, now is the time to do the yeah, all the thumbs down, guys. Yeah, it's okay. It's recorded, right? That's good. Yeah, I'll add one too. 1 second on my end.
Ooh, I like the exploding downward thumbs.
Yeah. But I don't want to spoil the news for the EMEA meetup. But we'll have something very exciting to share for all the regions. I just want to do it in the meetup, basically because I need another month to make sure that we're going to make it before we announce it. But you'll be very excited about what we're going to announce. We have to prioritize things, as you know. But we did something nice, I think, this year. Okay, so we covered the routing simulators. With this, and this is actually the same. McLaren also asked about this. It's the simulator as well. NGCs we discussed. Yeah, I think we answered everything, right, guys? Is there any question that was asked either here or in the form that was not answered? Okay.
I think we went through almost everything.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we went 10 minutes over to give some time back from what we took from the beginning. I also forgot when I introed this episode, I really wanted to thank Maya, Mauro, and Anat for taking on last month while I was traveling throughout the United States. And for everyone, next month, we're not going to be meeting because there are local holidays here in Israel, plus the EMEA Mega Meetup. So everyone that I would have on is already going to be in Barcelona. So we will see you in October. Yeah, Gil, did you have some?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I noticed the time-based speed limits, and I didn't want to not answer that. If it's okay.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. So I'll try to somehow explain the timelines, but permanent. I'm not. Throwing it on a different subject. It's overrated. Permanent hazards is currently being finalized. I mean, finalizing the development for the first phase, and second phase should start pretty much after it. Second phase includes the new scheduler that we promised. And if you remember, we asked for all the craziest schedules you could share with us, and we are taking that into account for the scheduler. And for permanent hazard phase 2, for the school zones, we are creating the new scheduler for the first time, and the same scheduler is also planned to be used for speed limits. It will not be at the same minute, but it's the next use case for the scheduler is the time-based speed limits. So this will be added, and the reason we can do it is because the scheduler support for permanent hazards is going into the routing server as well. Once we have the support for the advanced scheduler in the routing server and in the client and in all the chain, we can start doing some nice stuff with it and start to put schedules on everything that we want, like speed limits. So I don't have a timeline for this, but we are making a huge progress towards it finally. Seasonal speed limits. Yes, basically all the crazy schedules you sent, including seasonal, are going to be in the scheduler. Even sundown and like sunset and sunrise, for example, for some areas, or I don't know, all the stuff you sent. Some of it was really awesome, so we made sure to address everything in the scheduler. Okay, so I'll now shut up and let Brett continue. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gil. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. As I was saying, we're going to take September off for local holidays here in Israel, but we'll see you again in October with hopefully a lot of really cool things to share. And thank you all again for putting up with us on this new platform. We had to take a few minutes in the beginning to figure things out, but this episode will be uploaded to YouTube tomorrow, and we'll send that out to the whole community so everyone else can see it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gil. And everyone, have a great Sunday. Thanks for joining.
Thank you all. Thanks. Cheers.